Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everybody. You have heard the Russian as well as the Chinese ambassador expressing their support to the six-point plan of Mr. Kofi Annan. And I would like to reiterate again and again and again, we are expecting the other parties, in full accordance with the provisions of Mr. Annan's plan, to make the same kind of commitments and not to work against the plan. Here I am referring, namely speaking, to some Arab countries as well as some regional countries and some international players. Because as you know, the Syrian crisis has a domestic dimension, but also an Arab and regional dimension, then an international dimension. So it's not enough that the Syrian government is fully committed towards making the plan of Mr. Annan a successful one. Everybody else should be on board in a crystal-cut manner without recoursing to any ambiguity with this regard. Some policies in the area are disappointed today because the plan succeeded. The cessation of violence succeeded. The credibility of the Syrian government has been confirmed and stressed upon. Some provocative declarations from here and there wouldn't be helpful. On the contrary, any provocative actions stemming from here or there would be counterproductive and would be harmful to the chances of Mr. Kofi Annan's plan to succeed. There are still some officials who are totally disappointed and frustrated, as I said, because the cessation of violence succeeded this morning at 6 o'clock Damascus time. And because of their frustration and disappointment, these officials are still betting on any possibility to undermine the plan of Mr. Kofi Annan. I would like to convey to your kind attention that this morning at 7:40, the armed groups exploded a roadside bomb near Aleppo. The explosion resulted in the death of a military colonel, Syrian military colonel in the aviation, in the military, pilot. A woman was killed in the countryside of Damascus. Another civilian was killed near Hama, I think, near the city of Hama. Eight violations took place this morning by the armed groups. So Mr. Kofi Annan was right when he called on the countries who have influence on the armed groups to stop their provocative actions provided to the armed groups. The Syrian authorities are keeping the most restraint possible. And here today we are testing the reaction and the credibility of all those who were claiming from the beginning that they were on board of any peace plan. The moment of truth has come, and we are challenging these forces which were betting on the failure of Mr. Kofi Annan's plan. It's a challenge for all of us. As far as the Syrian government is concerned, we are committed, and we would like to see everybody else on board, honestly speaking and sincerely speaking, on board of the same plan we are talking about. My government, in a sign of positive approach, has insisted that the deployment of the monitors should be done the same time the cessation of violence ends. We are not hiding anything. We don't have anything to hide. And this is why we were in favor of the deployment of the early team of monitors simultaneously with the entry into effect of the cessation of violence. So we have no other concerns but to see the others on board of Mr. Kofi Annan's six-point plan. I thank you.
Ambassador, can you talk about how you have implemented Kofi Annan's request of your government, and also you speaking of the opposition, and whether or not to deploy observers based on whether or not there's a cessation of violence? You know, in your mind, is there a cessation of violence at this moment, which means can there be observer missions deployed, and who would you like to see as part of those missions?
The deployment of the monitors mission is agreed upon by both parties, the Syrian government on one hand and the United Nations on the other hand. We are just working out and finalizing some technical issues related to the deployment. So we have.
Has there been a ceasefire though now?
Of course.
So you would take the observers right now?
No. This is not. I said we don't mind deploying the monitors as soon as possible. This is what I said. We have no objection whatsoever to the deployment of the monitors.
And would you take them now? I mean, has there been a cessation of fire on both sides?
The United Nations, the Security Council, should adopt a draft resolution with this regard. Once the draft resolution is adopted, then we go ahead with the implementation of the provisions of the draft resolution.